G'day ladies and gents, and welcome to War Thunder with Mags, and welcome aboard the US Marine Corps F4U Corsair. Once again, this is a plane that I haven't had on my channel in some time, and I really did like the US Marine Corps Corsair. It was one of my favourite low-level American aircraft at the last time that I flew it. And nothing much has really changed, to be entirely honest. First target's up. We've got a Focke-Wulf 200 Condor. Just give it a quick spray as it goes past before banking around on its tail. I wasn't actually up here looking for Focke-Wulf 200s at the time. This guy just had the unfortunate bad luck of coming out of the clouds directly, almost head-on with myself. Nail some shots in from behind, set it on fire, blow off the tail. Yeah, it's a bomber kill. First kill of the match. Now we'll bank it around and see if we can find something more interesting. So second target presents itself. It's a premium German Yak 1. Now, this is a plane that I actually don't mind engaging, providing I've got an altitude advantage on it. In a manoeuvring fight, the Yak 1 will win at all times. Unfortunately, the Yak 1 pulls vertical and obviously had the speed on and immediately gets an altitude advantage on me as well. I spot a second 109 approaching him from the distance and decide, nope, this is not how I want to engage this fight. Yak 1 will easily outturn me, the 109 has an altitude advantage and will be faster. Engaging in that fight will be the death of me. So, nose down. I can see an Avenger ahead of me that's currently being attacked by a BF-110. He's in a world of trouble, so I'm going to go down there, hit the BF-110, clear the Avenger's tail. By that time, hopefully the 109 and the Yak 1 will have dropped down into the rest of our team. I'll take altitude off the side and come back in over the top of them. This is simply the smart play. Going into a fight where you have absolutely no advantage against superior numbers is just not a smart move. So drop through the bottom of the clouds, it looks like the Avenger is smoking, it's taken some damage, and the 110 is not alone. There's also a Focke-Wulf 190 down here. Now while I really want to keep that Avenger alive with two targets, keeping it alive has just become a secondary. I need to eliminate these aircraft in order. I was initially looking at seeing if I can get some hits in on this 110, but it is the secondary target. That 190 is a far more dangerous aircraft. I'm just trying to break him away from the Avenger. I get a good critical hit, and then immediately break after the Focke-Wulf 190. It goes vertical, sees me coming, rolls away, I get some hits. Take the Corsair straight vertical into a loop, aileron roll during the loop to change angle of attack so I can dive back on these targets. Unfortunately, I wasn't fast enough to save the Avenger. It's just gone down, but the Focke-Wulf 190 has to be the first aircraft. I can outrun the 110 all day long. The Focke-Wulf 190, far more dangerous. Good hits, get some smoke, more hits on, and it's still flying. American 50 cals, 1 second they're ripping apart bombers, the next second they're bouncing off 190s. Just checking the distance, there's a Ju-87 over there, but it doesn't seem too interested in this engagement. The BF-110 just made a close pass from behind. Drop down again on the 190, must get rid of it first. Good hit, set him on fire, and aircraft destroyed. So there's my second kill. 110 is on my rear, just keep the throttles open, keep it on WEP. Nose down to increase airspeed. I haven't got a huge amount of altitude to play with here, I'm fighting far too low to the ground, but it's enough to push the aircraft's airspeed out past 450 kilometers an hour, which is faster than the 110 can keep up. 460 kilometers an hour, I've opened up about a 2 kilometer gap, begin bringing the Corsair back around. It looks like the rest of my team has eliminated pretty much everything else that was in the air, so begin getting a bit of altitude back up before turning back to engage the 110. 2.39 off the 110, that's more than enough gap to bring the Corsair around. Looks like the Ju-87 is still off in the background, and an SM-79 has just been spotted passing through the area. Oh, he's in for a bad day. Now the 110's bringing its nose around for a head-on, so just approach off-center, pull the plane straight into the vertical. As the 110 pulls up to try and get guns on me, he opens up a full profile of himself and he gets taken out by one of our F4Fs. Bring the plane back around, SM-79 is passing right within gun range. Quickly keep the throttles open. Move to intercept. Critical hit. Fall in on the tail. Second set of bursts across. Engine smoking. Just pick the lead a little here. I'm spraying a little wildly. I should have been far more accurate with my shots, but there we go. There's my third kill. Ju-87 is the last aircraft in this area. And it's just become a drag race between me and the rest of my team on which one of us is going to get to him first. Climb for a little bit of altitude and get ready to push the nose down to increase myself out to around 450 to 500 kilometers an hour. I should be able to outrun the F4F without too much of an issue at this point. I should be able to get to the Ju-87 before anyone else. Of course, I have only got 174 rounds of ammunition, and I've seen what 50 cals can do to Ju-87s recently in one of my P40 videos. Of course, the Ju-87 looks over in the distance, sees this screaming pile of blue coming at him, and decides the best thing he can do at this point is suicide. Now, I still don't understand this. Here's the thing. That Ju-87 was clearly not going to survive this fight. There was no way known he was going to live. I understand that. And I can understand how frustrating that is. However, crashing yourself into the ground, suiciding, doesn't save you a repair bill. You're still going to have to repair the plane. Now, if you don't suicide and you get shot down, you're still going to pay a repair bill, and it's not going to be much different than if you crashed it into the ground. However, if you stay into the fight, you may get some critical hits against the aircraft that are attacking you before you go down. Hell, if you're really good, you may actually manage to shoot one of them down before they kill you. That gets you credits. Even a single critical hit is more than enough to cover the repair bill on a Ju-87, so suiciding makes no sense. If you want to suicide by going head-on against an enemy. You might potentially take out their aircraft, or at the very least do enough damage to cover the cost of your aircraft in the long run. Basically, guys, rather than suiciding your aircraft out of spite, do your very best to make the cost of destroying your aircraft as high as you possibly can in damage and kills before you die. So quickly landing and grabbing a reload on the forward runway, there is one enemy aircraft still alive on the enemy team, and we're not entirely sure where it is. Just cracking the throttles open, clear the runway, and we're going to go hunting. Now I'm going to get a message here in a second from one of our Spitfires. He's actually going to find the remaining enemy aircraft. It's a Bf-110. The problem is his Spitfire is out of ammunition. Don't ask me why, but he went to check the enemy runways with dry guns, and ended up finding the last enemy plane who wasn't AFK. He was circling the runways waiting for somebody to show up. They've gotten into a furball at the moment. Now a Spitfire is more than manoeuvrable enough to get around a Bf-110, but he has nothing to fire back. Now normally I would go for altitude here, so I had a better position when I finally got to the target to engage. However, I can see the fight is already happening very low to the ground, and while he is calling for help, and there are planes that are vastly closer to him than I am, nobody on my team seems particularly interested in going over there to give him any assistance. They're currently too busy hitting ground targets. So I've firewalled the throttles, I'm on the deck, 450 kilometers an hour and accelerating. I'm 15 kilometers out of the target, and I'm just hoping the Spitfire can stay ahead of the 110's guns for long enough for me or somebody to get there and shoot it down before we lose him, because if we lose that plane, we also lose detection on the 110, and at low altitude it will be a nightmare to try and spot the dot against the trees. He could potentially drag this match out for an extended period of time simply by running in the opposite direction to us. Passing 500 kilometers an hour on the deck, the Corsair is actually a pretty fast aircraft at low altitudes if you give it enough time to wind itself up. It caps out at sea level at about 520 kilometers an hour. 10 kilometers off target, I won't get a proximity spot on the aircraft until about 7 kilometers, so I've got to quickly close in this last gap. We are moving in close to the enemy's forward runway, however, so I'm going to start encountering flak, so I've got to be prepared to maneuver against that as well. 9 kilometers, we're almost there. Now, the Spitfire at this point sees me coming and begins turning in my direction to close the distance faster. He's trying to bring the Bf-110 in my direction. This is a good move by the Spitfire pilot. The sooner I can see the target, the sooner I can start planning my attack. Just a little bit further to go. I can see a dot just ahead, and there it is. There's the Bf-110. 7.5 kilometers out. I've got him locked up. Push the nose down, 545 kilometers an hour. I used a little bit of altitude that I gained over that time to push the aircraft speed out a little bit further. Now push the nose back up, begin getting a bit of altitude above and turning into the combat. It looks like the Bf-110 is in a tight turn, so I don't mind heading in directly towards it, but they are fighting directly over the enemy's forward runway, so I am going to have to be very aware of flak. This is directly above the enemy runway's flak guns. Looks like the 110 brings itself around, sees me coming, tries to take a shot, pull the plane straight into the vertical using the energy I'd gained over time, loop the plane straight back around, off WEP, tilt the plane back in. The Bf-110 turns wide, the Spitfire brings itself around behind, pulling itself safely out of the 110's guns. This gives me enough time to turn in. Nice spraying pass, multiple critical hits, set on fire and target destroyed. That's the last enemy aircraft down, but before the timer runs out, take the opportunity while you're here, now to hit ground targets. 2 AAA guns, line up on a third one. Cross the runways, enemy team has lost all vehicles, the timer is now ticking down. Line up on the 4th AAA. Always remember to try and hit the hole in the top of the AAA gun, not the sandbags on the sides, otherwise your bullets will not penetrate. And go for the 5th gun, but I get it after the timer ends, so I'm not going to be awarded for that kill. And that's the end of the match. So, first place for the team with 4 air kills and 4 ground kills. For awards today, we've got Professional X3, Shadow Strike Streak X3, Wind Streak X2, Multi-Strike X3, Terror of the Sky, and Bulletproof. 72,630 Silver Lions on a premium account with no boosters. 3,670 research points at 100% vehicle research, but that's because I've got nothing to research in the US tree at this time. And the battle time for this match was 15, almost 16 minutes, and this includes 2 takeoffs and a landing. So, the US Marine Corps F4U-1A, still one of my favourite low-level aircraft in the US tree, and my favourite Corsair overall. I really have a good time flying this plane. I really need to fly it a lot more often, but I don't want to spam the channel with it, much like I don't want to spam the channel with most of my preferred aircraft. Anyways, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed the video. Click like if you do, subscribe if you want to see more. Fly smart, fly safe, and I'll catch you in the skies.